hands down, one of the biggest questions I get asked about avoidance is, why do they lurk on my social media? Why do they like my stories? And there are a number of different reasons why this could be happening, depending on your specific relationship and this specific individual. So the first situation is you might have an avoidant that outright blocks you right away. And in this case, the avoidant is blocking you, I think, for a couple of different reasons. Number one, I think that they feel a lot of shame over their existence in your life. They believe that they are bringing you down and that you'll be better off without them. And so they don't want their shit showing up in your feed. Like, they don't want you to have access to their life anymore. They feel overwhelmed. They don't want you watching their stuff. They don't want you looking at their page. But I also think that they are trying to protect themselves from looking at your stuff because it's going to bring up those underlying feelings that they may still have for you, and they feel confused and conflicted about those feelings. A lot of avoidants, though, won't block you. Mine didn't block me. If I hadn't blocked him, I don't think he ever would have blocked me. And I don't know if he lurks on my social media, but I have a feeling that he might, because I know that he did when we were in our relationship together. He never liked anything. He never made his presence known. But I remember one time we were driving in separate cars and we parked at my house after coming from somewhere. And I was walking up to his car to tap on his window to be like, hey, let's go inside. And he was lurking on my Instagram. And I was like, oh my God, that's so interesting. Another thing he had done was he had made a TikTok account. He never used TikTok. There was no reason why he would ever be on there, only so he could look at my TikTok page. That makes me think that, and it was really confusing for me at the time because I was like, wow, he's not even a social media guy, like, and he doesn't like any of my posts ever or post me or anything. And so it was really out of character to see that he was actually making these accounts and looking at my stuff. And I was like, wow, he really is like lurking. He's just not telling me about it. That makes me think that he may still lurk my social media, but I'm not sure. If they still lurk after the breakup, there could be a number of different reasons, but one of them is, when they're in the relationship, they are so fucking activated and overwhelmed, and they finally get to a point where they just explode and leave the relationship. But what happens is, the longer that they're away from you and the more that you don't reach out, it removes a lot of that fear and panic that they were feeling, and a lot of those suppressed feelings that they had for you start to rise to the surface again. So they start having some of those romantic feelings coming up, and they want to keep tabs on what you are doing in your life. They're curious, like they're just simply curious. They want to know what's going on with you. Depending on the avoidant person, the intensity of this could vary. Like, I know for me, when I'm a fearful avoidant, but like when I was kind of seeing that anxious guy, when I ended up breaking things off with him, I found myself still like going and lurking on his social media sometimes, but it wasn't because I wanted to get back with him. It wasn't because I wanted to like start contacting him again or talking again. I was just literally curious about what he was posting. Other avoidants though, and particularly if they are like consistently watching your stories and making themselves known that they are watching your stories, that could be because they have too much pride to ever reach out, but it's somewhat of a prompt to be like, hey, I'm still here. Don't forget about me. I'm still supporting from afar. I'm still watching your stories. I'm still a part of your life. Now, that's definitely not a reason to break no contact, because likely what would happen if you broke no contact and tried to initiate is that they probably wouldn't respond. They feel more comfortable with this distance between the two of you where they can still watch your life and have access to your life, but from afar. When I went on Reddit looking for answers about this, I was really surprised to see that a lot of the avoidants who responded talked a lot about not wanting the anxious person to know that they still had feelings. And so if they did lurk, they wouldn't make themselves known. They would be very private about things and secretive about things because they have so much pride and they don't want to be perceived as weak or as missing the other person. Other avoidants on Reddit said that they won't block you or do anything because, especially if they're just viewing you as a friend now and they have no feelings for you, they don't feel any desire to have to block you because they don't think you're an awful person. And they said that sometimes they'll look at your stuff or watch your stories simply because they're curious, like they would be with any other friend. So as you can see, it really depends on the individual, and it's really almost impossible to know what they're thinking and feeling, which is why I believe that the best thing that you can do in this situation is to go no contact and block them yourself. That's what I ultimately had to end up doing because I didn't want to be tempted to look at his stuff. I didn't really want him looking at my stuff, and I just wanted to be able to move on, and giving him access to my life, like keeping all my accounts open for him to see, to me, it just made me feel like, why am I giving him the privilege of watching my life when he doesn't want to be a part of it,